The other question I got, which is a topic I could probably talk about for hours, which I love, which is from Kev, how to give constructive feedback, especially to friends. I love that question because it's something that I didn't do very well for a long time. Because I started recording, producing, playing in bands, making beats when I was like 12 or 13. And it wasn't until I was probably like 26 or 27 that I realized how to give feedback to people, which is, the short answer is, be honest and tell them what you think. Learn how to be honest and learn how to say things that are difficult. I mean, it's kind of a life philosophy thing that I think we could all get better at, which is be honest with people. And it's always going to be a little jarring in the moment. But there was a moment, again, sometime in my sort of mid-late 20s where I'd tell people to send me songs. By the way, anybody's watching, you want to send me stuff, I'll give you feedback. Sometimes it'll take me a month to get back to listening to things. But I try to give real feedback to people because I realized at a certain point that telling, there's a time to be like, you're just supporting your friends and you want to be like, hey man, I love what you're doing. Keep going. Encouragement is really important. But if somebody says, hey, give me feedback, they want you to be critical of it. They want you to help them improve what they're doing. And once I kind of put myself in other people's shoes and said, I wouldn't be asking for your advice if I didn't want to get better at what I'm doing, I started giving thoughtful responses. Because if you just say, hey, this sucks or that's no good, that's
never
not
do that. Never do that. That's not helpful.
Somebody sends you something and the chorus doesn't quite have impact or the mix isn't very good, you go, hey, it sounds like you're trying to do this kind of thing. Well, I would try this, I would try that. But philosophically, and then please give me your response too. If you're the sort of person that when asked for critical feedback, you give really honest critical feedback, you are in a rare place in that person's life where they know you will be honest with them and they will come back to you for feedback and they will put you in a different category than a lot of other people. If you're the person that gives honest feedback, even if it's critical, even if it's tough, if you say that shit with love, that's invaluable to creative people. As someone who wanted that for a long time, I wasn't able to flip and go, oh wait, this person wants, or it took me a while to flip and say, this person wants me to give them real criticism.
Yeah, I have a hard time. To me, it comes back to don't criticize unless you have some sort of solution, some way of enhancing their experience and what they're trying to do. So that's my first rule. Second rule is always start with a positive. Don't start ripping it about. So I had this experience recently, which was someone I met at a Terrace Martin masterclass randomly in down in Compton. There's an audio academy. I forgot what it's called. 1500 Academy, I think. It was fantastic. They were doing these masterclasses, and I went with a friend, and it so happened that and she was visiting town, and then it so happened this guy and her were both from the same part of Toronto, and they never met each other, but they were both there, and we got on really well. And he sent me a message last week, 2 weeks ago, saying, hey man, I don't know if you remember me. I met you at this thing. I was like, oh, I totally remember this guy. We had a great chat. So I already felt like, okay, he's remembering me. He wants me to tell him something that's going to help him in his journey. Like, we've already had conversations before. What's the best I can offer him? So I listened down to the 4 tracks, took my time with them, and I pointed out all the things that sounded unique to me of him. It's like, I've heard that guitar tone, I've heard this, I've heard that, but this thing that you did here is what sets you apart from, and I named like Tame Impala and The Weeknd and all these things that it kind of had this reminiscent sound of, to the point where it was like almost exactly that. But then there was this bit he would do with his guitar tone that sounded like, oh, I haven't heard that before. So I try to pick out the things that I haven't heard before that might make someone insecure of like, oh, that was the weird shit that I did. I'm always into other people's weird shit. Ingmar and I would always do this, where I would do a pass of a mix. Ingmar also mixes with the gift shop with Josh and I. And I would always hear the hidden stuff, and I would always turn it up way too loud to the point where you can love it or hate it. Someone's going to be like, ooh, I meant that to be subtle, or damn, I forgot that was even in there, right? So that's going to be my reaction anyway when I'm mixing a song. So why not point that out when someone's hiding their greatness in it, or hiding the weird stuff that like maybe they haven't heard, so it's doesn't resemble something that they're, you have to have familiar enough and then go slightly left. So I try to criticize towards that instead of, hey, the guitar sound is bright. It's like, what? I'm not giving you mixed notes if you're asking for critical feedback on something. So start with the positive and only criticize what can be helped and resolved are kind of my answers to that question.
Yeah, yours is more nuanced than me. I think yours is a great approach. I definitely am like, hey, the guitar is too bright. Also, I like this thing. Repeat the chorus twice. Also, I may not know what I'm talking about, but here's my instant reaction. I think,
but there's benefit in that. I mean, that's an arrangement note. You just gave arrangement. Like, repeat the chorus twice is a great note.
I try to give. It depends on what it is, but I get so much music and so many different things that people ask me about. Yeah, compliment and criticize. What I like to do is say, hey, here's my opinion. First listen. I might feel differently if I listen 10 times. Take my opinion with a grain of salt. Here's a bunch of vomit thoughts, and I just will write paragraphs or just say, here's what I think. Here's what I think. Here's what I think. Take it for what it's worth. Try stuff. I think it's great.
Let me just add to Jerry on that. I don't know if you have to compliment before you criticize. I think explain a positive, something that you vibe with, but I'm not sure that necessarily has to be a compliment of you did great on this or some sort of.
It gets to the point where you can run the risk of if it's formulaic, then you sound kind of patronizing. Be like, hey, it's great that you this, but also maybe this. Yeah, people can sense that coming.
Yeah, exactly. So the compliment part and the validation can be done without complimentary language. So I think that's important to,
I do.
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. Yeah, that's a really interesting topic. I obviously in our conversations, I like
Great question. Great question. I get asked every day, and I pick and choose when I can donate my energy properly towards giving criticism and feedback because I want to do it properly all the time. And I was on FaceTime with a friend, Danny Klein, producer of Some Randoms, the other day, and it's like I get hit up on the daily for feedback, beats being sent, all this, and I want to engage fully, but it's just impossible. So, but I'd rather not do it than do it half-assed. I think
totally, and that's why I always take forever to get back to people on things because I'll do my listening and kind of usually in one sitting, especially with people I don't know. They're just like, hey, can I send you a bunch of songs? And sometimes it takes me a month or two. By the way, I just got an email alert right now saying your Apple podcast is approved. I don't know if that means that it's actually on Apple right now, but if people want to check, I'm going to go double check it after this and see. I think it's going to be up on Spotify shortly and it'll be up on Apple. And then there's, 12
so maybe it's 4 weeks,
services.
Is just their runtime, but it could happen faster.
Well, it's also based on the service. Some of the services are like, we definitely are going to take a month to do this, but we'll see. So people can check that out.